Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to your essay writing and presentation skills class. As we are in a process of preparing you for the good presentation skills. Now let's quickly today discuss that how we can do that by making or by awareing you with your non-verbal behavior during your presentations. So today's topic is focuses on the non-verbal communication in your presentations. Today we are going to thoroughly discuss that how this non-verbal behavior can be of one major chunk while you are presenting in front of the audience. So to begin with, let's quickly recap that what we have done in our previous lecture. In our previous lecture number 26, we thoroughly discussed the process of making the presentation. I hope you remember that we tried making one on PowerPoint Microsoft 2010. I hope you must have tried it on your own. You would have learned through the process of making the presentation that how to prepare yourself as well as your content for the presentation. You are supposed to gather the related information related to your topic, and then you are supposed to prepare yourself excuse me. Then you are supposed to prepare yourself by preparing or by getting a proper sleep, then getting mentally relaxed and confident, and so on and so forth. So there are a few tips that you came across while I was introducing the planning stage of making the presentation for your audience. Another thing that we discussed was how to create one presentation on PowerPoint slides, and I hope you have enjoyed that too, and I hope that you have tried making one on your own. Then we also discussed the delivery of presentation, that what steps you are supposed to take to deliver your presentation effectively in front of the audience. And now for delivering the presentation, you are to make sure that all the material that you are delivering in front of your audience should be the right material or should be the relevant one. Before doing that, you are supposed to make sure that the scenario or the environment that you are going to go in, you are familiar with that environment. And then you are going to see that how you are going to appeal to your audiences, and then how you are going to check for the audience's response towards your presentation, and how you are going to handle the question answer session by telling them the ground rules in the beginning. So there are a few steps that we have discussed thoroughly in our previous lecture number 26, that we have thoroughly talked about the process of making the presentation. So I hope that you have learned a lot from that, and today I hope that you are going to learn from that how to balance your non-verbal behavior, your eye contact, your hand movements, your facial expressions, everything while you are in a process of delivering your presentation in front of the audience. Now coming back to the introduction of communication, before we actually move on to the non-verbal communication during our presentation, it is important that we should recap that what communication is exactly. Now communication, as we have already discussed in the previous lectures as well, and I am giving you the background that what how you are going to relate this communication thing with your non-verbal behavior during your presentation. Communication basically revolves around your sending and receiving of messages. So your communication has two things. First of all, let me pick up the pointer and try to tell you that how you are supposed to define this communication. Now this is your person A, who is your sender. Let me make that person 2 so that you can better know that how this sender is going to send message to person B. Now this person A is going to send message to person B, who looks fat like this somehow. Okay, now he is sending this message to the receiver. Now there is one message which is being shared by the sender to the receiver. Now this receiver will receive information. This sender has encoded the information in his brain, and this receiver is going to decode that information in his or her brain. Now that the message is being sent through the barriers which can be there in your communication. Now the receiver is going to receive the information, and then the receiver is going to give feedback back to the sender, and this feedback can be in the form of your non-verbal behavior as well as your verbal behavior. Remember, your verbal behavior has something to do with your words, your voice, and the selection of the content that you want to deliver in front of the audience. And your non-verbal behavior is something which has something to do with your hand movements, with your facial expressions, with your eye contact, with your hair, with your ear, with the type of the dressing that you are carrying, the type of the behavior that you are carrying towards your audience, and so on and so forth. So all of these verbal and non-verbal behavior are added in your communication cycle once we talk about this communication process. Now the message, whatsoever the message has been communicated from the sender to the receiver, enables humans to share their knowledge, their attitudes, and their skills. So it is the same case during the presentation, that you share your knowledge, your abilities, and your skills with your audiences in a very thorough manner, by telling them the content that is written on your slide, by displaying your personality in front of them, and by telling them that you are skillful enough to present your ideas in front of the audience. So that was the quick background of how communication is being described. Now that I have already explained it to you, that communication basically revolves around non-verbal and verbal communication. Any sender will send a message to the receiver, and receiver will give his or her feedback through verbal or non-verbal behavior. Now a sender can also do that in the same way. Your verbal communication, your non-verbal communication is much stronger than your verbal communication while you are speaking to someone or while you are delivering your presentation. This is the only reason why we are discussing non-verbal behavior prior to your verbal behavior during your presentation. So this very thing is very important. When we are going to work on that, we are going to make sure that you learn everything that is related to your non-verbal gestures, or your non-verbal behavior, or your non-verbal communication, that you can improve to make your presentations look better. Now that we have discussed these verbal and non-verbal communication thoroughly, let's move on. Presentation skills, conversational skills, and writing skills. As I told you in the once we were beginning the semester, I told you that your presentation skills and writing skills, both of them, they are your productive skills. And only a possible way when you are producing this information is the only way that you can make yourself understandable for the society. So these three skills are the effective keys of communication. You communicate through your conversations, you communicate through your presentations, and you communicate through your writing skills. So once you are giving that output, now this output is very important. Whatever output you are giving out to the society is very important once you talk about delivering something in front of them. The lecture defines some tips for using non-verbal communication to improve your presentation skills. So my main focus is to work on your non-verbal behavior is to work on your non-verbal communication while you are presenting in front of the audience. Now that we have already discussed some of the components of communication, that is verbal and non-verbal, there is one third element, that is para-verbal. Now let's try to see their definitions again. Verbal messages are the words that we choose for conveying our message. Para-verbal messages are how we say the words, and non-verbal messages are that how our body language is going to react towards the situation. Now let's try to read and let's try to define each one of them in detail. Your verbal messages are, or the effective verbal messages should be brief, concise, and organized. So they should be terse, crisp down, and they should be clear, and they should be concise to be understandable by your audience. They must be free of jargon. Now what is that jargon? Tell me. You are supposed to tell me, because I have already discussed with you earlier. Yes, you said that jargon is something jargon is that category of a word that is understandable within the group of people. Very good. I know that you are good people and you are referring back to and you are learning every day. So every new term that we learn, try to make sure that you note it down in your diary, so that you can try to pick out all those words and all those technical terms which you don't know meaning of earlier, and now you know the meaning of them now. Now, another effective tip for verbal communication is to do not create resistance in the listener. Now, your message is effective for the listener if that is not creating any resistance for your receiver or the receiver of the message, whosoever is listening to you. So, in this way, you can make sure that your verbal message should be the clear one, should be the concise one, and should be the brief one, so that the receiver can understand your message better. Now, there are some categories in non-verbal messages. Non-verbal messages, the target of today's lecture. Your facial expressions, as you can see, this one he looks happy, this one he looks somewhat sad, and this one who looks angry and aggressive. Now, your face is going to tell your reader or your audience that what mood you are in and how you are feeling about the situation. As I told you in the previous lecture, that once you are delivering your presentation in front of the audience, try to observe their attitude or to try to observe their appearances. Now, if they are looking at you, and if they are nodding their heads, and if there is they have this good eye contact with you, and everything, you are supposed to make sure and you would feel that how non-verbal behavior can boost you up sometimes, and how it can bring you down to the situation other way around. So you are going to see that how non-verbal behavior can be communicated, or it's larger than or it's bigger than your verbal communication. Now, to elaborate the categories in non-verbal communication, your face is the first thing that gives one impression of enthusiasm, energy, approval. It expresses confusion and boredom. It's sometimes frowned with displeasure. Eyes sometimes telegraph joy. Sometimes there is sadness, sometimes anger, and sometimes confusion. So your face and your eyes and your nose, your hands, your body postures, your everything, they reveal to your audience that how are you reacting or how you're feeling towards a situation. So facial expressions are the first major thing that is that conveys the utmost message of yours to the audience. There are other non-verbal categories also. Your postures and gestures. Now see, this person standing with his folded arms, and this person standing with his open arms. Now this person, he is showing this cold rejection, and there is another feeling of inflexibility coming from after we look at this person. And this person, he has got this warm openness, and he has also got the feeling of anticipation for the next person, like he is welcoming. Now your palms, look at your palms, right? If they are towards the people, it means that you are welcoming them, and if they are like this, it means that you are not interested in the situation. So try to make sure that you use those things while conveying your message through your non-verbal behavior towards the audience, which is going to be useful and beneficial for them. Now there are some para-verbal messages which are to deal with it, how you say something, not what you say. Now what you say has something to do with your verbal messages. However, your para-verbal messages concentrate on that how we say things. Now this is the example that I am going to read it out for you, so that you can know how the different ways of putting stress, tone, pitch, pacing of our voice, stress, intonation helps you understand that what next person is talking. I didn't say you were stupid. I didn't say you were stupid. I didn't say you were stupid. So this is how I'm putting my stress on the words in bolds and which are being capitalized. And this is how I am I'm trying to tell you that how we say something is more important than what we say. So three of the sentences are written alike, but it is the way I am putting stress on different words that make my sentences look different. Understood? So moving on to the next slide. According to the social anthropologist Edward Hall, in a normal conversation between two persons, less than 35 of social meetings is actually transmitted by words. So this is your words, your verbal behavior is 35%. So at least 65% of it is conveyed through the body, that is your non-verbal channel. So see, the difference lies between 35 and 65. So which one is the major one? Your non-verbal behavior is the major focus of your presentation. So to work on your non-verbal behaviors, to begin with, first of all, we will define what non-verbal communication is. That is basically the non-spoken context within where all face-to-face communication takes place. Now that you are standing on the stage and you are conveying your ideas to your audience, this is one positive thing, and this is one only thing that you are supposed to take care of while you are presenting in front of the audience, because 65% of your behavior is non-verbal. That is understandable by your audiences. So once you are presenting on the stage, try to make sure that your non-verbal behavior communicates them the message well, and they are going to understand it better. Every conscious or subconscious behavior, now underline that, is covered with meaning, without which all the verbal communication would be ambiguous. So you are supposed to, maybe you are doing something, maybe you pick up any pen or you pick up any page consciously, you move the slides from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 consciously, but sometimes your unconscious behavior, like smacking your lips, like twitching on something, they are your unconscious behavior which are not under your control. So they count more than your conscious behavior. So try to make sure and try to you know, focus on what you are supposed to deliver, instead of focusing, or instead of, you know, paying so much of your subconscious efforts. Now talking about the different categories that come under the non-verbal communication, and which are going to be the center of attention in today's presentation, so that you can work on them, all of them separately, and then you can become one good presenter who has got the best non-verbal communication for his audience. Now first thing that you are supposed to keep in mind is your pitch. As I said, that your pitch and your tone are the most important things. Your speed and your tone, your voice volume, these are the 4 things that fall under the category of your paraverbal communication. Now your paraverbal communication is more important while we talk about your non-verbal behavior, because it is how you say things, not the collection of the words that you are using to convey your message. So we will work on them also, that how you can make them polite and humble and to be easily understandable by your audiences. Your gestures, your facial expressions, your body posture, your attitude, your eye movements, and your dress and appearance are other common things which are to be added in your non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication also includes your touch, glance, your vocal tone, your pauses and your silences, intonation, smell, word choice and syntax, and your sounds, which are the para-language. Your body also gives out sounds to your audiences, and your body also speaks. So try to make sure that you are going to stick to everything that I tell you today to be followed while you try to, or if you want to really work on your non-verbal behavior during your presentations. Now, have you ever heard anyone say his actions spoke so loudly I couldn't hear what he said? See, there are a few situations where actions, they speak louder than words, and you are going to make sure that you are going to work on them thoroughly, as to avoid any situation where you have to get embarrassed because of your conscious or unconscious behavior of your non-verbal communication. Now see this slide, you can very well see there is non-verbal behavior that has got different interpretations that you can see very well. Now try to look onto the slide and I'll brief each and everything to you, that how your non-verbal behavior and how your non-verbal communication can be taken differently in different situations. So your brisk and your erect walk, it basically interprets that you are confident. See how your non-verbal behavior is communicating that your walk, the way you walk is going to communicate to your audience that how confident you are while delivering your presentation in front of the audience. Now if you have got the brisk and if you have got the erect walk, it means that you are confident enough to deliver your presentation in front of the audience. If you are standing with hands on your hips, I cannot stand right now, but you can imagine that if you are standing with your hands on your hips, it is going to give the impression of your readiness and your aggression towards the next person. Now starting up with your confidence, the erect walk or the brisk walk towards or around the room where you are presenting, that doesn't mean that you start walking. It means that you are going to take a slight walk around the room to make sure that everyone is involved during the presentation. Second thing is standing with hands on hips. Now it shows your readiness and aggression towards something, that you are ready to do something really interesting. So this is another good tip for your nonverbal behavior. Sitting with legs crossed and foot kicking slightly like this. This is a big one. You are supposed to kick your foot slightly once you talk about sitting with legs crossed. Now these are your legs which are crossed and you are kicking, or you are footing, your foot is kicking slightly. It means that you are showing the boredom. Don't do that. Sitting legs apart, it shows open and relaxed behavior like this. Now arms crossed on chest like this would show the defensiveness of your behavior, and walking with hands in pockets and shoulder hunched like this and your hands in the pocket, that would show dejection through your non-verbal behavior. And there are so many more of the verbal and non-verbal behaviors, and they've got different interpretations for which I have brought some examples for you today, and you can very well comment on them on your own. Now there is a small exercise to do that through which you can get to know that how one non-verbal behavior can be interpreted differently by different people. Now if you see this hand, now what does this mean? It means, can I help? Trust me, I am going to be with you throughout my life. You are in good hands. It can be a helping hand that is offered to anyone. So this is how you interpret, or different people can interpret one action or one non-verbal attitude differently. Or maybe this hand is asking to pass on something to them, or maybe they are looking to get a glass of water or something like that. Now this is a boy who looks like that he has lost the game. He looks dejected, he looks disappointed, as if he has lost the game. Or another interpretation can be that there are no other players to play with him, football or basketball. Alright, this is a basketball that he is holding in his hand. So try to see that how many interpretations we can come up with while we are trying to work on the non-verbal behavior. So look at the lady in the picture. What does this kind of expression mean? She's smiling and she has got open hands. Now she is open and welcoming. Maybe she is asking, so tell me more, and she is accepting what you are saying, and she looks welcoming and warm to be addressed to. So these kind of things can be seen every day during our communication. This kind of a non-verbal behavior is really very important. You see how your smallest non-verbal behavior conveys different kind of interpretations to people. See, now that you are going to present on the stage in front of the group of people, now see how your non-verbal behavior will count there. To begin with, How to work on non-verbal communication during the presentation. This is the main focus of today's lecture, and I will make sure that you learn everything related to your non-verbal behavior so that we can polish your non-verbal behavior accordingly. First of all, to begin with, your first impressions. Your first impression is the last impression that you can make on any audience. You have only a few seconds to make a good impression, so make your audience at the center of the universe. So you must make your audience at the center of the universe. Try to make them feel important because they are important. You are standing there because they want to listen to you, not because you are very important to be listened to, right? So that's the other way around. They are important and they are special and they are the center of universe. They need all the attention of yours and they need all the focus of yours. You are going to tell them about the topic that you are presenting, so try to make sure that you give them that impression that they are important. The first thing that you are supposed to keep in mind while giving your first impression to the audiences is to face them. Now, how to face them? Try to look at everyone before you actually begin your presentation. Only in this way you can grab their attention. Maybe if you are, while looking at different people, you can smile at them, and then you can kind of mingle with them, and then you can develop your impression. The second thing that you are supposed to remember is to give the direct eye contact. It means that if you are going to look at them directly, they would feel that you are interested in talking to them, not that you are interested with your subject only. Then your palms should be outward, as I have already explained that your arms should be like this, not like this. Okay, should be like this, not like this, which is going to this palms outside is going to give you your good impression to them that you are welcoming and you are open. Now your arms, they should be you should have the open arms instead of the closed arms, which shows dejection. Now your open arms, they show that you are welcoming the anticipation and you are welcoming and you are warm. A big smile and a firm one. Now a big smile doesn't mean, a big smile has something to do with that you are going to smile at people. Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum. So this is how you are going to make your first impression on the people, but not a bone crushing handshake. But don't do that you are going to crush someone's hand while shaking hands with them. Try to make sure that you are nice and humble to make your first impressions on them. So we have discussed 5 major points that you are supposed to keep in mind to keep your first impressions good. Now your first impressions are also about the dress that you are wearing, about the hairdo, about the shoes, and about the air of confidence. Now your dress, whatsoever dressing you are carrying for your presentation is one very important thing. If you are coming in your jumpers and if you are coming in your zippers and you jump onto the stage and start your presentation, that is not going to give a good impression. You are supposed to look formal, because that's a formal platform where people have come to listen and to see you. Especially you are important and your text is important, your content is important, your slides are important, because people have come to listen to you and you are to make them special. Your hair, they should be finely done. Your hairdo should be properly done early in the morning. Try to make sure that your hair should not look haphazard or they should not look uncombed. Most of the people have this problem that their hair they get like a bomb shell once they are out somewhere, or once they go somewhere in a hurry, or once they are in tension. So try to make sure that your hairdo is finely done while you are actually trying to give your first impression to the audience. So if you are a guy, you can maybe early in the morning you can make some spikes, or maybe sometimes you can have this proper top blow dry or anything you are comfortable with. And if you don't have any hair, that's a very great or very good news for you, because you don't have to worry about that how I am going to work on my hairdo. If you are a girl, try to make sure that your hair are properly combed. If you are used to wear the dupatta on your head, then you are not to worry about your hair. Try to concentrate on your dupatta, through which you are going to cover your head. Do not try to pin it up, so that you are not going to worry about that during your presentation, right? So it should look fine, or it should look like it should look presentable. बड़ी सी चादर मत लपेट लीजिएगा all around you, so that nobody can see your hands, or nobody can see you while you are presenting, because your hand movements and your body posture and your the way you walk, the way you are moving around is one major thing that is going to give good impression of you. Then there should be air of confidence. You should feel very, very confident while delivering your presentation. Related to your dupatta thing, I would also add that if you are not comfortable with presenting, try to wear abaya. That is one best way of covering yourself, and then you can deliver your presentation effectively. Then about your shoes, they should look, if you are a female, try to wear smart shoes like heels and all that, and if you are male, try to wear formal shoes, not joggers or not kenchi chappal or stuff like that. Be aware that others are rushing to judgment about you. Now others have these first impressions of yours in their minds, and they are thinking about you in terms of your first impressions. The way you look, the way you are walking, the way you are mingling with them, the way you are keeping your eye contact with them, the way you greet them, the way you shake hands, all of these things are going to give them an impression, that your first impression towards them, and through that first impression they are going to make the judgments about you. Especially important if you are going for a presentation. So all of these things are going to be very, very important once you are going for the presentation. So I hope making first impressions is now clear to you, that how you are going to make impressions on different people. Now particularly talking about the eye contact that you are supposed to keep with your audience, because your audience, your eye contact helps indicate your interest in the people in the audience. So your eye contact towards different people is going to indicate that how much you are interested in talking to different people. It increases your credibility. Now it will also work on, or it will also enhance your credibility. When you make eye contact with people in the audience, you increase your chances of getting your message across. So this is another thing. Through your eye contact, you can even deliver the information, or you can pass on the information to your audience. Eye contact helps you establish a connection with the audience. Now if you are using your eyes properly, and you are not staring at anyone, or you are not glaring at anyone, the thing is that you are supposed to make that use of eye contact properly. If someone has asked you a question, try to look at them, and also try to look around, so that you are not going to lose the attention of other people while addressing to the one whom you are answering. When you make eye contact with people as you are speaking, you build one-to-one bonds with them. So your eye contact is really very important if you want to make these bonds with them, and if you want to really get mingled with them, and you want to bring them into the situation. Now your smiles are powerful. As much as you can smile, and as much as you can bring in this kind of laughter in your voice, that is going to go as a positive thing for your presentation. Always try to keep a smile on your face when you are speaking. Even if you are not presenting, or you are not supposed to present, try to smile, because मुस्कुराहट भी सदका जारिया है. So you are going to make sure that you are going to keep this smile on your face while you are going to present anything in front of the audience. Try to smile, and try to keep this a lovely face presentable for the others. Only in this way they are going to look at you from every aspect. Smiling makes a speaker more warm, likable and friendly. So if you look warm and welcoming, if you look likable and if you look friendly, people will like you and they will like to listen to you. Remember, people listen to those people whom they like or whom they admire. So this is one very good tip, that how you can use your smile as one powerful tool for making your presentation a success. When you smile, people see you as happy and this makes them more respectful to you. So if you are smiling, slightly smiling, a very nice, lovely smiling face, people will be respectful of you. Another impression your smile can give to them is that you would look like that you are confident about your topic and you are very relaxed. So this is another thing that can help you. Once you are smiling, your smile is going to help you make your or grab the attention of your readers towards your topic. Now people react positively to smiles. Now if you are looking aggressive and if you look sad or if you look dull, once you look sad and once you look aggressive, you would look proud, and if you look sad, you would look dull and you won't look confident of your topic, of your presentation. So people are going to behave positively towards your smiles, because smile itself is a very positive behavior. When you smile, the audience smiles, and the smiling audience is a respective audience. So you are supposed to keep in mind this thing, that when you smile, your audience smiles. So try or make your audience smile every time. Smiling will help you get your points across and accepted. So if you are smiling, or smile mein, if you are trying to satisfy the query of the people, or trying to see that how you can answer their queries, this is going to be one helpful and one most useful tool for you, that you can be accepted across the whole group of people. Now that we are done with our impressions and our eye contact and then the smile, let's move on to the gestures, the body gestures, that how they can be one of the main major tool of the non-verbal communication behavior. Now gestures are another important form of non-verbal communication, but you have to be careful with gestures, keeping in mind that you are going to practice your talks in front of the audience. Now try to see that how you look to the audience, try to dress up in the costume that you are going to wear during the presentation, and try to see and try to look that how much you look interesting to the audience. If you are looking good to yourself, you would look good to the audience also. Stand in front of the mirror of your size, where you can see your full display. Put your laptop on any stool or any chair and try to give your presentation or try to rehearse your presentation in front of the mirror. It will help you if you are making a lot of hand movements, or if you are if you have folded legs sometimes, or if you are if your hairdo doesn't look to you, and if the dress or the costume you feel that you are not looking good in, so try to look at yourself from every angle. Try to see that how your non-verbal behavior is going to communicate to your audience, and how you can work on it to make it better. Also watch your natural gestures. Maybe you blink your eyes so much, maybe you smack your lips, maybe you move your hands so much, maybe you itch somewhere so much, and so on and so forth. So try to see your natural behavior during your presentation rehearsal. Then try to enhance them, then try to work on them. If you are doing something unconsciously, try to avoid that by making it one conscious effort. Strengthen your gestures. Only this will help you strengthen your gestures, and this is going to help you work on your gestures accordingly. Big rooms demand big gestures. Underline that. Now if you are going to present in the big room, you would have to give the big gestures, right? If you are trying to tell that I am going to talk about something really big, now this big is not enough for the big room. You would say I am going to talk about something really big. So this big is going to be visible for everyone who is sitting in the room. However, tone them down. Now you are not going to sound as big, and your gesture should not look as big, so that they are not going to digress from the situation. You are going to tone them down. There is a limit to which you are supposed to deliver your presentation in, depending on the audience. Now whatsoever type of the audience would be there, of course, if you are delivering in front of the interview panel, you cannot give these kind of big gestures. You are supposed to sound somewhat professional, and although big gestures also come as one of the professional behavior, but you are supposed to keep in mind that keep that limit of giving or providing your gestures in front of audience type whom you are presenting to. Making your gestures natural and reflective of what you are saying. So your gestures, your body movements, your gestures should go along with the words that you are using to elaborate your sentences. Try to avoid choppy, sudden gestures when you are speaking. Focus on making your gestures fluid. So you are not going to chop them down like small chunks of gestures coming out and in, going out and in. You are going to work on the those kind of gestures which look fluid, which are easy to flow on. Now moving on to the next slide, let's now talk about the posture and body orientation. That what kind of a postures you are supposed to make, and what body orientation can be the perfect one while you are delivering the presentation. Always stand up and straight. Look directly at the audience. It indicates confidence. Like I said in the beginning, that if your shoulders are hunched, and if you have your hands in the pockets, and if you are facing towards the ground, this is not going to show your confidence to your audience. Only standing straight and looking directly into the eyes of the audience is going to make you look confident in front of your audiences. Slumped shoulders and facing towards this floor is one bad example of your body orientation and your posture during your presentation. If you are using slides, speak to the audience, not the slide. Now I keep on telling you that if you are using the slides for the explanation to the audience, try to speak to the audience, try to look at them, and I have also told you the techniques that how you can make your slides short and how you can talk to your audience in other way. So in other words, you are going to make sure that you are not going to use or you are not going to digress from this point, that you turn your back towards the slide and while you are talking to the audience. Now see that I am talking to you and my back towards you, and I am continuously reading from the slides. What impression do you get? Do you get a good impression? No, because your eye contact is very important. Your body posture, your position is also dependent on your eye contact. All non-verbal attitudes and all non-verbal behavior are related to each other in one way or the other. So you are going to make sure the thing that I have told you, that you are not going to talk to the slide, you are going to talk to the audience while elaborating this slide to the audience in a different way. So this is how you can make your body postures and body orientation look good. No back towards your audience. This is the thumb rule that you are going to remember while you are going to present your or while you are presenting in front of the audience. Now it's okay to look at the slide for some time only. You are not going to read from the slide. Remember, especially if you want to draw the audience attention to it, but always turn your back to the audience after a few seconds. Now if you want your audience to look at something, for example, you are using your pointers or you are using your laser pens to depict or to tell anything on the slide to your audience, it's all right. It's okay with that. But do not turn your back completely towards the slide. Try to face your audience from time to time. It is going to be very, very helpful and very, very beneficial for you to keep the track of your audience's attention towards your presentation. Tall and erect communicates energy. Now you should stand tall first of all, and you should stand erect. That would communicate your energy. Standing tall, now that doesn't mean that you wear heels and stand tall. It means that you stand straight and you stand brisk to tell others that you are confident towards your topic, and you are energetic, and you are enthusiastic, and you are motivated towards your topic. And purpose, whereas slouched and hunched implies tried and lacking in energy. So see, two opposite things. Now look at my physical posture and body orientation. If I'm standing like this, I look alert and I look confident and I look energetic. However, if I am standing like this, I look humble, I look meek, I look lacking the energy, I don't look motivated, and so on and so forth. So try to stand tall in front of the audience to make sure that they are looking, because since they are looking at you every time, you must make sure that you are not going to lack that level of, or you are not going to lose that level of motivation of them. Looking up is generally regarded as indicative of optimism, which persistently looking downward suggests secrecy or insecurity, right? So you look sometimes you look indicative and sometimes you look optimistic if you are looking up and you are looking into the eyes while your body postures and your body orientation straight and tall. And if you are looking downwards, it suggests that there is some secrecy, or there is something fishy, or you are worried about your presentation, or there is a kind of insecurity coming from your non-verbal behavior towards your audience. So the thumb rule is that your posture should be the refined one once you are talking about, once you talk in good terms of working on the non-verbal behavior during your presentation skills. Now your arms and your hands, they are very important while you are presenting in front of the audience. There are some guidelines which you follow. You can become one good presenter. Your palms turned outward implies warmth and friendship, like this. Palms should be like this. Now if your arms are like this, your palms should be outward, they should not be inward. Inward means that you are not interested. Now if your mother is calling you in the kitchen and she asks that go and set the table for the dinner, and if you say, okay Ammi, give me the stuff what I am supposed to do, these hands towards yourself towards inside is not a very good idea, because your mother would look at you for a minute and say, are you really interested in working or not? But if your palms are outside and you tell, okay mom, tell me what am I supposed to do, your mom would quickly tell you, or would quickly tell you to grab the plates and forks and spoons to be settled on the table for the dinner. So same goes with the presentation. Your hands or your palms is going to reveal and they deliver these kind of non-verbal messages to your audiences. Don't point, it is aggressive and perceived as such, especially if you do it in an irritated way. So do not point at anyone like this. Alright, like you say like this, or I am talking about that particular thing when I'm if your pointing is towards something or someone, they will get irritated and they would perceive something different and something bad about you. The examples are, Gordon Brown uses his hands a lot, but he will gesture with the backs of his hands turned towards the audience in a way is suggesting of giving. Now if you keep on like the Gordon Brown was used to say, if you keep on moving your hands like this is an offer only for you, you can benefit from this presentation. The purpose of my presentation is to make you aware of so and so things. So this is how, if you are using your palms outwards and pointing towards someone, this is not going to give the bad impression. But if you are going to specifically point out on anyone or any situation that is going to create confusions and irritated behavior towards your audiences. Tony Blair would pull his fingers together into a point and make slight movements. Now, if he is telling about something, what he would do is, Tony Blair, he would bring his fingers together into a point. Like, for example, he says that then he came and then I came and then we went along. So these finger movements and these hand movements are really very important. Your arms and your hands, they are really very important when you talk about the non-verbal behavior during your presentation. I hope that you are learning a lot, and I hope that I am sharing every possible information that I have with me with you, so that you can become one good non-verbal specialist. Now there is one another thing, proximity. Now what does this proximity concept come from? This proximity concept comes from the closeness between you and your audiences. Many speakers get away from the platform. Let me underline that. They get away from the platform and walk in the room. Now, only standing on the stage, sitting on the distance is not going to be helpful for you. There are many speakers who prefer moving around the room and looking at each and every audience's eyes, or keeping a very good eye contact and this proximity level high, because they feel good once they are closer to their audiences and they can satisfy their needs as well. This means that they get up close and personal with people in the audience. So this has something to do with getting closer and personal with the audience. Use of wireless device to advance slides. Now if you want to move around the room, what are the techniques that you can use? The first thing that you can use is there are these mouses available which are wireless, and you can put them, or you can hold them in your hand, and then you can click on the slide to be moved further. So this is how these wireless devices can be used if you wish to move around the room, not sticking to the stage only, where you have to click on every new slide to appear in front of the audience. People feel that you are part of them. If you are moving around in the room, this proximity level is high. People would feel that you are not detached with them, like you are standing here and people, they are looking far from you, maybe 6 or 7 feet away from you, so they would not feel detached from you, because you are going closer to them and then you are going to talk to them and trying to deliver your presentation. Then you are having a conversation with them. There is another impression that once you are moving around the room, it gives an impression that you are conversing with your audiences, rather than you are telling them a story while standing on one particular point on the stage and they are listening to you from that very level. It appears more natural. Your presentation would look good if you keep this level of proximity high during your presentation. So this is another technique, that how you can keep this level of nearness or proximity towards your audience, so that they can feel at home and ease. Now moving on to the next slide, it again talks about the proximity, and it tries to somewhat explains this proximity level in different cultures. Be aware of the space between you and others. Now that does not mean that you are going to cross the limits that are being set by your culture. Cultural norms vary between country and also different for friends and strangers. For example, if you are giving an educational presentation, that is your academic presentation to your class fellows, your level of proximity will be more high as you are giving the presentation to the audience. So try to make sure during the presentation you can maybe tap on someone's shoulder, but you cannot do that with the strangers. Then the level of proximity is different for children and adults. So try to also keep in mind that according to the cultural background that you are coming from. If someone is backing away from you, then you are too close. Now if you are trying to tell someone something, or if you are standing too close to any table or any chair that is right in front of you, and if you put your hands on any chair on whom any lady is sitting and you are a gentleman, don't try to do that. You can put yourself into a very bad situation or a very miserable one. Try to keep that proximity level according to any culture you belong to, because your cultural norms are more important than what I am telling you. Proximity comes where your cultural norms allow you. You can walk in the room without even touching anyone, or without even going too close to anyone more than 2 feet. So 2 not 4 feet. Alright, let's keep it to 4 feet so that you can keep your distance from those people, but still looking into the eyes, not staring at them. You are looking at them as to make sure that they are understanding what you are trying to tell them. Your voice is another non-verbal behavior, another non-verbal attitude that counts towards your presentation. Be animated. Now what does that animation has to do with your voice? Avoid speaking in a monotone or monotonous tone. Like if you are speaking and nobody is listening, and you are talking and nobody is listening. Now see, the way I am talking is kind of monotonous, and there is no stress, and there is no intonation, or there is no pitch or voice in the quality of the collection of the words that I am using. Now see that the way I am using has got different ups and downs. Like your voice quality or your voice should look like, if this is the initial corner, your voice should move like this, so that it should look lively, right? This should look alive. But on the other hand, if your voice is going like this and it ends here, it looks death or dead. What does that mean? Have you ever seen that machine in the hospitals where they are measuring the breath of any patient? Yes. If the lines are moving up and down, it means that the person is alive, and if the line is straight, it means the person has died or person has expired. So if your voice has these ups and downs, it has got the animation, it will look alive to your audience. And if it is straight and monotonous and monotone is there, it will look dead for your audience. Show excitement for your material with your voice. So put stress on those words which you feel are to be elaborated well in front of the audience, and try to make your voice quality be animated for the others. Always practice talks out loud. Now once you are rehearsing in front of the mirror that you have bought recently for your dressing room, try to stand in front of them and try to talk loud. As you are talking loud, try to see that which words you are stressing on, and which words of yours need attention and need focus and need stress. So talk out loud so that you can see that what kind of the voice you can use in front of the audience. Sometimes you are so afraid of talking loud that you cannot talk in front of the audience, so practice it well and rehearse it well. It will improve your impact with your audience. So as loud as you would be and as tall as you would be, so we are coming with 2 thumb rules: tall and loud. So tall you would be, loud you would be the best presenter. Using your arms in an animated way, it can bring energy, enthusiasm and a bit of fun to the proceedings. Now the way Bill Gates move his hands, the other guy he uses his palms towards the people, the way you would use your non-verbal attitude and your energy, your arms and your hands towards the people, it will give them an impression that you are energetic, enthusiastic, and you are to be a fun about your presentation. Now use your body language as a tool. That doesn't mean that you start dancing on the stage. It has something to do with your eye contact and your body movement. Active nodding and eye contact is especially useful to indicate interest when someone else is speaking. Now that you are listening to the questions or the queries of your audience, and if any audience of yours has any comment to make on your presentation, you are going to make sure that you nod your head and you look into the eyes of the audience and you look clearly at that person who is asking you the question. If your friend is speaking and you are doodling, yawning, looking around aimlessly or reading notes, then it undermines their credibility. So don't try to give such impressions which make your audience think that you are not interested in what they have to tell you. Now, do you need to be a boss? If you are to use your body language as a tool, be the first to offer a handshake, the last to go through the door. So you are the first one to welcome them and you are the last person to leave the room where you have got your presentation to deliver. But put yourself at the head of the table, head up with the purposeful manner. So you are going to head the whole conference, you are going to head the whole presentation, you are the boss. Need to sweet talk audience. Does that mean that? Yes. Make them feel in control. Give them the best seat and position and use soft smiley body language. So welcome them, try to welcome them, try to adjust them in your venue, try to tell them that they are important because your presentation is only for your audience, and for you your audience is important. The way you are important for me, your audience should be important for you also. So you are going to see that how you are going to make use of these body language as a tool. Mirroring tactics can create empathy. Now there is a signal similarity which shows that you have something in common. Everyone likes dealing with people they can empathize with. So this empathy is very important once you talk about delivering the presentation. Make every non-verbal approach, dress code, your formality of manner, your presentation style, they precisely reflect your audience. So this is how you are going to make the mirroring tactics. Synchronize with the other party. Now you are going to synchronize with them. It's true that matching others' movements make them feel in sync with you. So you are going to observe their body movements towards your presentation. Just don't make it too obvious. Instead, nod when they are emphasizing on the important point. Smile when the words indicate pleasure. So you are not going to start laughing towards any comment, or you are not going to come up with your personal analysis of something if you want to emphasize on something. Your sincerity is another thing that you are supposed to keep in mind. People will judge you sincere if they think you are listening to them. So look for signs that someone wants to speak and invite them to contribute. For example, politicians sometimes touch their heart to underpin their sincerity of commitment to a key point. मैं आप लोगों के साथ बहुत loyal हूँ. Now see, this hand on their heart is telling their sincerity towards the audiences. Don't overplay this though, or it will look cheesy and completely insincere. Now, for example, it will look ironic. In other words, मैं आप लोगों के साथ बहुत मुस्तहिक हूँ और आप हंस रहे हैं. This is not going to be the practice. You are going to sound logical and you are going to sound natural once you are delivering your sincerity for your audience. Reading tells quite often closed expressions and gestures, leaning back, closed body language, folded arm. This suggests the audience are maybe bored, they may be unconvinced, or whereas open body language and leaning forward suggests interest. So you are trying to read the non-verbal behavior of your audiences while you are presenting on the stage. If they are leaning back towards like this, backwards like this, you would automatically feel that they are tired and they are bored of your presentation and they are not interested to listen to you. And if they are sitting alert and if they are standing up like this, alert, tall and loud, it means that they are interested and if they are having a good eye contact, it means that they are listening to you. The word to remember here is may. Reading body language is not a sincere of certainty, so is not a science of certainty. So you are to make since you are making your own interpretation, so sometimes you can be wrong, but try to observe or try to read the body language or the expressions of your audiences, because you can keep them as a track for your future presentations. Reading the audience, don't rush to the conclusions. Be cautious of reading too much into the innocent gestures. Folded arms, for example, may simply mean that someone in the audience is cold or likes to fold their arm. Now, you are not going to jump onto the conclusions quickly. Maybe if someone has folded his arms, that doesn't mean that he is cold or he is not listening to your presentation. It can also mean that they are fond of closing their arms while listening to someone. Look for groups for gestures. Now do not draw your personal do not read your audiences based on only one audience or only one individual. Try to read the groups of people. If someone has angled their body away from you or is looking out of the window, then yes, you may well have lost their interest. So if the participants start looking around and they start looking at each other, or sometimes if the participants start looking out from the window and if they are looking at the walls and if they are looking at the ceiling like this, it means that they have lost their the interest in your presentation. So you should begin with something sparking or something eye-catching or something really interesting for them. So if you use these non-verbal communication ideas, you will become someone whose presentations carry an impact, and you will be on your way to career and life success. So if you follow each and every category and each and every suggestion that I have given you, you can become one good successful presenter. So today we have discussed the introduction to communication. We have also discussed some components of communication, which are verbal, non-verbal and paraverbal. We have also discussed the definition of non-verbal communication. We also have seen some of the examples as an exercise, and how to work on non-verbal communication during presentation, in which we have talked about first impressions, eye contact, smiles, gestures, body postures, hand and arms, proximity, voice, body language, sincerity, and reading your audience. So these are the things that you are supposed to keep in mind while you are working on your non-verbal communication behavior. I wish you a good luck for making out and for working on your non-verbal behavior. Here is a list of references from where the information was being downloaded. Before moving on to the next lecture, or before you see me in the next class, try to see your non-verbal behavior today. Once you go home and see yourself standing in front of the mirror, try to talk out loud to the mirror that how do you sound to yourself. If you sound good to yourself, definitely you sound good to the others. With that, I wish you a very good luck for your every lecture, for every thing that you want to do in life, and for everything that you want to achieve in life to become one good active presenter. With that, take very good care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.